The Eagles had to win. They did win, and still nobody's happy. We're going to talk about recapping this Eagles-Giants game from Christmas Day. We're back for the final 3 shows of 2023, trending in the AMs live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you hit those like, share, subscribe, follow, retweet buttons. Do it all. Get in the conversation. That is the most important thing. Bring me your thoughts, comments, concerns as we get set here for the final 3 episodes of 2023. I mean, it's been a big, big year for Trending in the AM right here this year. So I want to wrap it up good. Unfortunately, I lost my headset. I don't know where they are. I had them on the plane. I'm down here in sunny, well, sort of cloudy Orlando, Florida. So I'm using my 12-year-old niece Devin's headphones, and I'm using the computer microphone. So I hope you guys can hear me. Wherever you're watching, hit a comment. Am I coming through clearly? I'd greatly, greatly appreciate that. Just so I know. Good morning, Bobby. What's up? How you doing? I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We haven't done a show since the 22nd was the last show. So it's been a few days since I've been on here. Like I said, we got 3 days left, and I want to end this year on fire. I really, really do. I want to make sure that this year is the best year. Or we end this year as great as this year's been. And that way we can kick off 2024 even bigger and even better. So I don't know about anybody else, but I'm super excited for how this year's gone. Sounds clear on your end. I greatly appreciate that. I have a travel set of headphone and mic, and I had it on the plane watching movies on the way down to Florida. I don't know what I did with it. Cannot find it at all. Oh, well, we'll survive this way for the next couple of days. I just said I want to make 2023 end in great fashion, and we're Jimmy rigging this show together here today. But that's okay. So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, on Christmas Day, there were presents, there was family, there was a feast, there was everything. But later in the afternoon on Christmas Day, there was a football game, and a very, very, very important football game at that. That was the Eagles versus the New York Giants. Our Eagles in a must-win situation, needing to end their 3-game losing streak, and they did. Now, I can't tell you that I sat there and watched every second of the game as closely as I normally do. I did. I was in Key West for a few days before heading down here to Florida and to Orlando. I went to Key West first. So we were in a Sloppy Joe's tap house watching the game, having some great drinks, whatnot, great quality time, great crowd of people. So I can't say that I watched every fine detail of the Eagles game on Christmas Day, but I got enough of it to understand what happened. And it was a must-win Eagles game, no doubt about it. And they won. And they won a lot more convincingly than people realize. I know it was a close game score-wise, 33-25. But let's be honest. It wasn't that close. You had the pick six, which, and you had the fumble. You had 2 big turnovers. And they weren't like the typical turnovers that have been bothering this team over the course of the year. You had Dallas Goedert slip and fall, basically, resulting in a pick six. You had the Zacchaeus getting knocked into, was it Boston Scott, I believe, on the kick return, setting up another touchdown opportunity for the Giants. That's not what I would call. I would call them more freak accidents than bad play. So you take those 2 turnovers away. You take the 14 points the Giants scored off of those 2 turnovers. and it's a blowout. But yet all I'm hearing about is the negativity surrounding the Eagles, the negativity surrounding, the coaching and the players and the relationships. We just had a very important must win. We were domino affecting, falling and falling and falling as a team. Yet the Eagles pulled together. And let's not forget, it was a division rival game. It's not like the Giants are this team we don't face very often. We all know division rival games are always 10 times more physical, 10 times closer than they should be on a regular basis. And obviously, I said it partially in jest, but also not in jest, that the Eagles had, a 13.5 point favorite on that line, that there was no way that was ever an accurate line whatsoever. It was never going to be something where we covered a 2 touchdown score. Just not going to happen when it's Eagles Giants out there. I got to suck this coffee down today. I'm going to need it today. A day filled with playing with these kids in this house all day long. So I ask you, are you happy with how things went on Sunday or Monday with the Eagles? And make sure you drop those comments, your thoughts. We got people watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I did have this show set up as a 9 o'clock show. I didn't know how early I'd wake up, so a little late getting people into the conversation today, I'm sure. But it'll pick up as the show goes on. Eagles Nation is entitled, Marshawn. I'm trying to think of how to answer that statement from you. Eagles Nation got the win that they wanted, that they needed, yet everybody's miserable. That's not what I like to see. I want to see people be happy that they got this win. They end it. They got themselves out of the quicksand. They stopped the dominoes from falling. And now you build upon it next week in Arizona or against Arizona. Then you go to New York, the Meadowlands, have a chance still potentially to win the number 1 seed. You just can't ever be happy. And it's funny, Marshawn? Eagles Nation is entitled. I get what you're saying. I think I understand how you mean it. But I'm in Key West from the 23rd to the 26th, wearing Eagles gear every day and up and down the street. Anybody that says Eagles Nation's not the best is crazy, because let me tell you something. There were so many Go Birds chants at me, so many high fives, so many people watching the game. It was really great to see how many people were in Key West supporting the Eagles on Monday. Biggest concern, Joe Bucci, going forward, how do we beat a top team now? They don't seem like they are ready for a championship caliber team. And I think that's fair. I think it's a fair concern. It's a fair question to ask. How are they going to fare against the 49ers in the playoffs, or the Cowboys again in the playoffs, or whoever it may be? And we'll have to cross that bridge, I guess, when we get there. But people calling for Nick Sirianni's job, people calling for Jalen Hurts' contract to be ripped up, people saying fire this guy, fire that guy. I'm kind of over that at this point. Like, we'll have to cross that. This team isn't – I'm sick and tired of hearing people say that we haven't played our best game yet, because this is what this team is this year. But it's not a bad team. Happy for the win from Bobby, but need to play much better in the playoffs, or it will be a short run. Only one team makes it to the pinnacle every year. So there's no guarantees of anything anyway. Does this team have holes? Sure. Are some of these holes self-inflicted? Sure. Some of them are injury related. Hell, who played linebacker on Sunday or Monday against the Giants? Shaq Leonard, who had just gotten here 2 weeks ago, and Ben Van Summer, a guy that's been cut from the practice squad like 4 times. And that was it. So obviously there's a problem. Wasn't the best game, but that's how we have won every game this year. Maybe everybody talks about this Eagles team not having an identity. Maybe the identity is we just win dirty. That's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to get it done. Justin, what's happening, my man? Got a W, gave the Giants 14 points. A classic. The game wasn't as close. I agree with you, Justin. I don't feel like I ever felt like this game wasn't going to be won while I was watching it. Now, I was drinking a lot at Sloppy Joe's in Key West, and they didn't pay for that, promo right there. But it's an important win. You had to stop that losing streak. You couldn't go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. They did it. They got the job done. Some unfortunate, bounces of the ball made it close. But in my opinion, it was a pretty convincing win. Shaq Leonard played great on defense. The defense as a whole, Keely Ringo, see, I got it right that time for K1, played great again. We might have found a gem there. Bobby again, and it's always great watching the Cow. And of course, that was fantastic as well. Right back in the driver's seat to win in the division. Even if we won 44-6, that doesn't matter. We know how this team looked against the Niners and the Cowboys. Yes, I get that. We know how this team looked. We also beat those Cowboys. So there's that part of it as well. So just remember that. Go Eagles, Teresa. I appreciate that. Thanks for checking in. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Shaq Leonard had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss. He played, from what I could tell, not taking notes, not tweeting 70 times, that he played fantastic. He played much better, much faster in an Eagles uniform than Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard's taken some time to adjust to the role at safety since coming over. Shaq Leonard, boom, right out there, making great plays. And it was great to see. Hey, I predicted 13-4, Teresa. I had 4 losses. I had the Jets loss, the 1 Cowboys loss. I had the Bills, not the 49ers, and I had them losing to Seattle. So, I mean, this is just right on par with how I thought this season was going to go. So that makes me feel pretty smart right there. And I had them win it out to close the season 13-4. We win dirty, but we win. Greater words never spoken. What's good, dog, bird gang for life? Some of the emojis don't come through, so I don't know what some of them say, Nitro. But yeah, maybe that's our identity. Everyone's complaining constantly that there's no identity on this team. Well, we win dirty. We claw. We fight. We give you our best shot. You better have your perfect game, because if you make a mistake, we're going to capitalize on it. And we're never out of it. Now, after the season, do we got to talk about Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni's offensive scheme? Maybe. But that's it. Right now, we're in the middle of the season, and we don't need any drama on this team right now. People forget the Niners game. If we score touchdowns instead of field goals, that's a great point. And we've kind of cleaned up some of those offensive things. I think we've gotten better in the red zone, Mal, since then. We've scored more frequently in the red zone. The problems on defense is understandable. Injuries, different players, etc., but no excuses for a very talented offense looking so out of sync this late in the season. And yeah, and Bobby, you're right. I mean, the offense has been out of sync. But how much of that is they're out of sync, and how much of that is last year they set the bar so high because everything went perfectly. Now there's a blueprint on how this team works and how this team is successful. This team as the Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, that group, that core group there. Obviously, Brian Johnson wasn't here. Shane Steichen was calling the plays. But there's a blueprint on how to stop them. There's a blueprint on what Nick Sirianni wants to do. And as of this moment, maybe it's not that they're out of sync. It's just teams know how to stop them. Now it's up to Sirianni and company to find a way to flip that script. And they started that a little bit more running the football on Monday. I'm going to keep saying Sunday. They ran the ball a little bit more. What did DeAndre Swift have? 20 rushing attempts. 20 rushing attempts, 92 yards. That's a commitment to the run right there. Gainwell had 6 carries. Boston Scott only had 1. I told Kyle. He was like, everybody was like, yo, make sure you bet that Boston Scott touchdown. I'm like, this year it's not going to happen. Not going to happen this time. We did beat a lot of great quarterbacks this year. Let's get to the playoffs and see what's exact. See, that's how I'm feeling, Marshawn. I'm like, we have beaten the Chiefs. We have beaten the Bills. The Chiefs, obviously, maybe some of these wins don't look as good now as we see how their seasons are playing out. But it just goes to show that no one in Kansas City is calling for Patrick Mahomes to be cut. No one's saying Andy Reid's got to go. Maybe there's some questions about the loss of Eric Bieniemy. Maybe that's a conversation being had in Kansas City. I don't know. And they lose Bieniemy and their offense isn't the same. But let's be realistic. There's a lot of great teams. The Bills looked completely lost this year for a while. Now they're right back in it. All you got to do is get to the playoffs, preferably with home field advantage as long as you can in the playoffs. Get teams coming to the link. Because once you get to the playoffs, all you got to do is win. And the Eagles have shown the ability to win close games, which most playoff games are going to be. What's good? Nitro, Merry Christmas. Exactly, guys. Merry Christmas. Missed you guys. I hope you didn't miss me too much. A few days off from the shows. But Merry Christmas to everybody. Oh, man, the sun's starting to come out here. Maybe I got to go. Maybe I got to go sunglasses here. Now the sun's starting to shine here. I can't really see the screen now. Oh, there's our boy. I'm back, man, Chatter. Back for 3 more shows in 2023. and then we march into 2024. Purdy threw 4 picks. It's a week-to-week league. And there's people questioning Brock Purdy now. Hell, Brock Purdy got benched. Did he not? Or did he get hurt? He got hurt, actually. So, everybody is beatable on any given Sunday. So that's just my opinion. We are from Philly. We fight. So that's our identity. We're a blue-collar, hardworking city, How's Orlando? Well, I just got here late yesterday afternoon, spent the first few days in Key West, which was fantastic, even though it poured half the time in Key West. Walking in the streets with water up to my knees, didn't care, had a great time. Today's going to be a nice day. It's going to be the only really sunny, warm day. The rest of the week, it's going to be cool. We'll do a show tomorrow morning and the day after that, Friday morning. But then that's it for the year. What's up? So Bobby, so commit more to the running game. Obviously it works. Hey, you don't want to run the ball. That's not their philosophy as a team, but obviously it's working. And obviously it's helping some of the problems that this offense has had. Take some of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Take some of the pressure off the offensive line. We see it. We don't mind it, but that's not what this organization as a whole wants. Fight, claw, never out of it. Matty B, what's up, my man? Stop being delusional. Stop lying to the people. No leadership, personnel issues, self-coaching, no accountability. Be objective. There's a lot to dive into in one comment there from Matty B. The first part of it, never out of it. Stop lying to people, though. And I do feel that maybe the cliche style of Nick Sirianni is wearing thin on the fan base. The cliche style was working when we were winning. Now we're in a rough patch of a stretch, losing 3 out of the last 4 games. Some of the cliches just aren't, hitting home right now. Well, 1 week you're this 1 seat, the next week you throw 4 picks and you're getting mopped on your own stadium. I mean, it's a NFL, not for long. That's the way this world works. This way this league works, man. We know this. We're back, baby. Giants wrecked. Barkley dropped by Reddick national audience. Yeah, absolutely. We got this 2 games ahead. Absolutely. There's no doubt after the way they won on Sunday that we go out there and win the next 2, finish 13-4, Teresa. And at worst case scenario, we're the number 2 seed. Don't have to go on the road to the championship game if it's in San Francisco. And if San Francisco gets knocked out, which they could, proving that they're there, that they're beatable, who knows what happens then. Much more physical in the run game this past Monday. Bounce touches for Swift and Gainwell. I mean, Gainwell only had, 8? Hold on, I had it up a second ago. Gainwell had 6 carries to Swift's 20. Gainwell had 3 catches out of the backfield. So he had 9 touches to Swift's 20 touches. But, yeah, I'll take it. Get those running backs involved, even if it's in the passing game. There's nothing negative that's going to come out of that. You've been saying that all year, man, Chatter. Hollywood, Phil, that's right, Hollywood. These are my Johnny Cage glasses from Temu, Marshawn. The sun's already gone out. Now, that was 1 second of sun today, and that's all we're going to get. Yeah, $3.99 for 3 pairs off of Temu, man, Chatter. I love them. I love cheap stuff. Teams know we want the explosive play, so quit trying to force a take what the defense gives you underneath checkdowns. Again, this still goes into the conversation we had a lot last week, Bobby, on the show. Is it that Jalen Hurts forces the ball deep and into the explosive plays too much, or is that what he's being coached to do? Because I kind of feel like that's what it is. I don't think Jalen Hurts is not dumping it off underneath or not taking the short pass and the safer pass. I think he's being told to go for those explosive plays. Hell, didn't this week, I think maybe while I was in Key West, I saw a headline that Brian Johnson wants to run even more deep plays and more explosive plays to get the offense going. So not even less, more. Bills versus Eagles in the Super Bowl. I don't know about that. Bills are playing better, though, so excuse me. Oh, man. The fan last night in the room's got me all messed up, man. Back to this, though, for a second. Bills versus Eagles. It's got to be Ravens right now. It's everybody's favorite to make the Super Bowl, right? It's got to be It might be Ravens 49ers. It might be Ravens Eagles. But the Ravens are the team in the AFC, it looks like, right now. But even they've been proven to be beatable. They're just the hottest team right now. He got hurt. That's what they sat him down. 4 picks is painful. So he wasn't really hurt. They were just using it as an excuse to take him out of a game where he was getting destroyed. Okay. Merry Christmas, Teresa, for sure. How's the holiday going? So far, it's fantastic, my man. Outside of the fact that I'm all messed up even worse because of the fan in the room in this house we're renting right now here in Orlando. I'm so dried out. Couldn't get the right temperature in the room last night. That's the problem when you rent a house with like a dozen people. Can't get the temperatures right to your likings, like I do in the air in hotel rooms. I can forgive the pick six, but fumbling is still an issue, even when we recover them. What's up with Jason Kelce this year? Yeah, I mean, well, first off, the pick six, I think it just happens. It was kind of very similar to, I think it was week 1 or week 2. There was a pick where DeAndre Swift turned the wrong way. Hurts threw the pick right into the arms of the defender. It was just one of those, it was a slip this time, miscommunication the other time I'm talking about, but it happens. The fumble that we lost that we gave up a touchdown on, not ideal at all. And Kelce, I mean, he's getting older. He's getting up there. It is what it is. I'm still going to take Jason Kelce over 95% of the centers in the NFL right now, whether he's making a lot of penalties or not right now. Best record in the NFL, that's the Ravens right now, right? I think so. Or in the NFC, that would be the 49ers as the best record for sure. We absolutely have a shot at the 1 seed still. They got the Rams in week 18. I called the Rams at the beginning of the season, Bobby. They were going to be a good team. So I'm glad I was right on that one. That's one of the few times I've been right in life lately. Those are the Ray-Bans. Yeah, they're definitely not Ray-Bans. Not even close. It will be the Ravens as the AFC team in the Super Bowl as of this moment. Yes. But in 2 weeks, our minds could change on that so much because there's so much, week to weakness in football that, we've seen. There was a part earlier in this season where they weren't that good, the Ravens. They were struggling. Matty B. So at home as the 2, beat Seattle, beat the Lions, then go to San Francisco for the championship game. That would be the most likely scenario. So you're in Orlando or Fantasyland. I'm in Orlando right now. I was in Key West for 3 nights. Now I'm in Orlando for the next 6 nights. Beat Seattle. I wouldn't worry about that. Beat the Lions. I think we could do that. So that would put San Francisco having to beat the Cowboys. And I guess it would be the Cowboys they'd be playing. Ugh. So, I mean, I could see that being the route that it goes, for sure. We got to get the 1 seed, or else we play the Seahawks, and we are 0-9 against Pete Carroll. I mean, that's a fair concern, for sure. What's up, JP? How you doing, my man? Merry Christmas to you, my man. I think people overlooking the Commanders game, trap game for the 49ers. It could be. It's going around. I'm not sick. I have just dried out from the air and stuff like that. Well, or maybe I am sick. Who knows? No one can beat the Ravens. I don't know. They can beat it. Every team can be beat. Commanders can honestly do us a solid, beat the 49ers, and we win out. Yeah. Can they help us out a little bit? They got that game circled on their calendar that they want to lose it to screw us over. That's probably what the case is. Kelce is old and getting frustrated. Refs are also looking harder at him because he's more popular in the tush push. That's fair. I think that's a fair thing. Their eyes are on him a lot more. Here comes that randomness of sun again. The DG fell as he broke out. Not Hurts' fault, but happened a lot this year. Yeah, it's happened. And that one, you kind of want to let it go, but it's hard to just let it go because it has been happening all year. I can't see with or without the glasses on these comments here. Shit was good, all good 2 weeks ago for Dallas, and now they lost 2 massive games. We have a 3-game slide, and we are tied for the 1 seed. Imagine if we hung on to it. Yeah, I know. There was a lot of really close calls this year. Really close that, man, things would have changed. Love seeing the hardest working man. Hey, appreciate it there, Big Al. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you. Hey, vacation don't stop the shows, my man. The shows continue even when I'm in Florida. I never take a day off. Well, I took Christmas Day off. That was and travel days. That's it. Offense needs to wake up. Sirianni hurting us. And I see a lot of this talk on social media. I haven't been active on social media, but I've been reading it. Obviously, there's a lot of people calling for Nick Sirianni right now. I'm not ready to have that conversation yet, Armand. Now, does he need to adjust? Sure. He's got to find maybe a better offensive coordinator in the offseason? Maybe. Does he got to evolve as a coach? Sure. He's been figured out to an extent, Nick Sirianni. But I'll take it. I still accept the fact that we're 11-4, coming off a season when we went to the Super Bowl. I mean, you just write this down and show the last 2 years, hell, show the last 3 years of this Eagles team's story and history, okay? Show it to a fan 20 years from now. And they'll be like, wow, that was a great run for the Eagles. But right now, in the heat of the moment, it feels awful because of the way we lost a couple of those games. What happened there? There we go. Did not watch the Chiefs game, so I don't know. Defense actually put up a fight. Love to see it. I love to see the fight, considering they were starting players that weren't on the team, not too long ago. They were, I lost my track. They got a new defensive play caller, not coordinator, whatever that whole scenario is. So you love to see the young guys stepping up to make plays in the game like we did. Keely Ringo, man. I mean, you gotta love to see what you see on Shaq Leonard. You gotta love it. So they're starting to get a little bit of a groove. But as maybe they get Nicholas Marlins, Zach Cunningham back, maybe the defense turns out to be pretty good come playoff time. Matt Patricia didn't do much crazy good or crazy bad, but they played well. Merry Christmas, man, Chatter. I appreciate that. Doesn't seem to have control on his locker room due to poor play calling and very little adjustments in his offense, as he calls it. And I don't know. Is there a problem in this locker room? Excuse me again, guys. I'm going to mute it this time. I don't know. I don't know if this is an issue or not, Duck. I don't know if it's an issue in the locker room or if this is just a team. Maybe there's no discipline in the locker room so everybody can voice their opinions. Maybe you want the coach to hold everybody closer down. Does it make sense what I'm saying there, Duck? I don't know. I'm trying to think this through here on the spot, but I don't think he's lost the locker room. I think he's left it open to discussion, what goes on in a game, and he lets them speak their mind, and maybe that's not good, but that's how I see it. We can't play the Seahawks in the playoffs. 0-9 is real. Yeah, man, I hear you on that, but we might end up there. The only thing I learned in the last 2 games with Patricia is that the reinforces that Desai was a scapegoat. Yeah, maybe that's fair. Maybe you can make that case, or maybe that there's slight little wrinkles that he's making. I don't know. Bradbury has become a liability out there. Teams are obviously targeting him. Absolutely, Bobby. There's a conversation. You want a conversation? That's an uncomfortable conversation. The uncomfortable conversation is when Darius Slay comes back. Keely Ringo probably should be starting opposite of him, not James Bradbury. But can you trust rookie Keely Ringo come playoff time against the Cowboys or the 49ers or the Seahawks? I don't know. They got 2 more weeks to get him ready for that big moment. That's if Darius Slay is even back. I haven't heard any updates on that. Keely reminds me of Asante Samuel. I hope he's our future. Don't forget about Isaiah Rodgers that we've got sitting there who's on suspension. Eli Ricks is, stepping up lately. Sidney Brown's had some good games lately. The secondary might actually be 10 times better come next season. That'll be a lot of work for Howie Roseman to do because you got Slay and Bradbury under some pretty big contracts next year as well. They'll have to find a trade partner or a way to cut them. I don't know. We'll see when that time comes. Smitty actually said something. That is actually a very fair point, Duck. Smitty's a very low-key. He's not the outgoing personality that A.J. Brown is. And when Smitty gets a little fired up, there's an issue or there might be an issue. So that's a very, very fair point right there. We only play the Cowboys or Niners in the playoffs if we are the 2 seed, but the 1 seed plays them both. That is a true gauntlet. It's an interesting way to look at it. Very interesting way to look at it. Need that 1 seed, definitely need that bye week for sure. I would love the bye week, Armand, not just because it means you're the 1 seed and everything comes through Philly at the link, and no team, no matter how good they are, wants to play at the link in the playoffs. But that extra week off to heal up Jalen Hurts a little bit more. Anybody else that's got nicks and bruises, getting everybody ready to go that week off, huge, because you're not going to have week 18 because you're still going to be fighting for that 1 seat come week 18. So everybody's going to play week 18. There's no week off there to rest starters. So, Bobby, I've been saying this since the second he popped his head out in the practice field 2 weeks ago. Huge. And I couldn't believe how many people on Twitter actually laughed at me when I said this. Yes, I've said it. Injury-prone guy. Yes, they should have done a better job backing him up, which I think they did with Zach McPherson, but he got hurt as well. It's just funny that people forget how good of a slot corner Avonte Maddox is, you can if Darius Slay doesn't come back, but Maddox does, you could see a scenario where Maddox goes into the slot in the playoffs, Robbie goes to the outside, and you got Killy Ringo. Would you be more confident in Killy Ringo, Avonte Maddox, and Braden Robbie as your 3 starting quarterbacks in the playoffs than James Bradbury subbing in for one of those guys? If this is in the scenario that Darius Slade's not back, that's getting him back is massive. CD went crazy against the Dolphins in the first quarter. Then Ramsey traveled with him, and he didn't catch the ball. I don't understand, Marshawn, why more defenses, why more cornerbacks don't just have their best guy travel. Why didn't we ever have anybody travel with CD into the slot? It makes no sense. Maybe it also proves that Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and our cornerbacks aren't elite enough to follow somebody. Maybe. Eagles will play Tampa in the playoffs. I have to look at that stuff. I don't know. I would love to play Tampa in the playoffs. That would be a win. Cowboys look weak. They just look like they have holes. Every team in the NFL has holes. How many times have we talked about how mediocre this season is as a whole in the NFL? There's nobody really separating themselves. Week 18, Eagles, Giants, 49ers, Rams, definitely going to be all playing at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be so much on the line week 18. This is what the NFL wanted. That's what the script writers wanted. They wanted everything like this. Maddox is a slot corner, helps free up linebacker to play tighter to the line. Yeah, that works. That's fair. I just think it brings us so much more deeper into the at that position, which is already a weakness right now. And then also maybe you have some of your cornerbacks that can help cover some of the tight ends that are out there, some of the running backs out there, instead of being right on the line like that. So, yeah, it makes sense. Marshawn saying we wouldn't be playing Tampa, we'd be playing Seattle right now. There's still a lot that can happen in 2 weeks. So, yeah. Spoke to Colts fan Leonard, not washed. They really missed his play. Yeah, it's weird. When a guy gets cut that late to a season on a team that's in a playoff hunt, it definitely brings me some concerns. But the way he played on Monday against the Giants for the Eagles proved he was not washed. He really played well. So that's good. Yes, absolutely. Bradbury is cooked. It seems like it. It seems like it, Bobby. The drop-off from last year, this year, and I've brought this up on the show plenty of times, that a lot of our expectations for our cornerbacks last year were because the defensive line was getting so many sacks. When you have 70-plus sacks as a defensive line, it's going to make your cornerbacks' numbers statistically look much better because the ball's not getting thrown. So we were saying last year at points that Slay and Bradbury were one of, if not one of the top 3 cornerback duos in the NFL. Well, it clearly wasn't the case. Our defensive line does not get the sacks this year. Got injuries in linebacker and safety. So now our cornerbacks are being exposed. Avonte Maddox not out there as much. So, that's the thing. But the problem is now we are big picture down the line stuck with 2 big contracts. And I don't know how the cap situation will work if you cut one or trade one or whatnot. But we could be seeing a scenario where we have 2 new starting cornerbacks in Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers next year with whoever in the slot. You might have to move on from Maddox as well. So we'll see. Armand, Shaq Leonard was fired. People say he was washed. Shaq just needed a fresh start. Yeah, I mean, Armand, you still got to worry when someone gets cut on a playoff contending team that late into a season that he's either washed or he's a locker room problem. There's a reason why the Colts got rid of him. They could use him right now. So it was concerning. But Monday proved all concerns wrong. Hell, at this point, even if Morrow and Cunningham come back from what I saw on Monday night, Shaq Leonard's got to be one of the starters. And then you rotate Morrow and Cunningham. Probably start Cunningham and have Morrow coming off the bench. That's how I would be running the linebacker rotation going forward for the next 2 weeks with Shaq Leonard. Jalen Ramsey is greater than Slay. That's an obvious thing there, though that's why Slay doesn't travel. Yeah, I mean, obviously Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks we've seen in the last 20 years, at least in my opinion. So, Slay, we might have overrated a little bit. And Darius Slay's had a good year. People have crapped on him a lot this year, but I think he's having a better year than we're giving him credit for. Parity is at an all-time high. It really is. This year is insane with that, Marshawn, for sure. Sidney Brown is good. He just needs to finish his tackles more. Yeah, he just needs to slow down. Sometimes he sees the big hit coming, and he doesn't know how to throttle down and actually make the hit. He just goes too full force too frequently. So he needs to learn to throttle down still. But I'll take him and his aggressiveness over the other options right now, for sure. Patricia's defense gave up a second-half lead in the Seahawks game and helped build a 23 lead against the Giants. Don't know what to make of his defense. Again, technically, if we're supposed to believe, even though someone said in the comments earlier about lying and stuff like that, if we're to believe it, it's not his defense. It's still Sean Desai's defense. He's just doing the on-field play calling. Very similar to what, Nick Sirianni's the offensive game planner, but Brian Johnson calls the plays. So Patricia's quote-unquote just a puppet for Sean Desai, I guess. But we all know that's not the case. I don't know what to make of it either. It hasn't gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. It's just been, if that makes even remote sense there. Busch Gardens is rip-off. I'm going, okay, sorry. Don't know what to tell you there. I also think Eli Ricks could develop into a starting outside. I think he could too. I like Ricks. Ricks has gotten more playing time than Ringo earlier in the year. Now with the Slay injury, Keely Ringo's getting the minutes right now. I think we got Ricks, Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers. We got a lot of young options, and Zach McPherson will be back next year. Let's not forget he was a third-round pick a few years ago, so he'll be back next year as well in the mix. So the youth in the secondary is there. They just need experience. The problem is we're trying to get these young guys experience right now, but we're also trying to win a Super Bowl. That's the problem when you have a rebuild that gets sped up so quickly like it did last year with the Super Bowl run, because we were still in the rebuild. This was the year, maybe next year, that we made our Super Bowl run, not last year. So you got to take that into account. Slay has had a solid year, just not as good as last year. Yeah, Slay's been good, not bad. What's up, K1? Merry Christmas to you, my man. We were 13-1 around this time last year. We were 13-1 around this time last year, for sure. I called a 15-2 season last year. I was one game off. I called 13-4 this year. I hope I'm right this year. Eli Ricks played on the outside instead of the slot. Makes all the difference for this defense. Playing on the outside instead of slot. Yeah, you guys know way too much about that kind of stuff than I do. I can't really tell. Like, I don't know how to break down tape to tell whether a guy's an inside corner or an outside corner. I hear people talk about hip movement and that first step off the line. I'm not a game film expert like that. K1's a little late. I did have the show set up for 9:00, and it is 9:01. So you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Hit that like button for me, guys. Probably only 10 or 11 likes on YouTube, 4 on Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, retweet. We are on Twitter. We've had some Twitter comments today. If you're watching on Twitter, there's 11 people watching on Twitter right now. Make sure you guys get in the comments as well. Click the video. It brings up a page where you can hit your comments. Greatly appreciate that, guys. Right back to the comments. The defense issue isn't necessarily scheme. It's personnel. And the personnel issue is because of a lot of injuries. And not just the recent ones, some of the early season injuries as well. Losing Avonte Maddox and Zach McPherson early in the season was an issue. Personnel issue. Not investing in those linebackers and safeties. Personnel issue. Our offense with a few motions in the backfield helped us get positive yards in the run game and short pass. I didn't notice it if it was more than normal. I saw it. I always see it because I'm always looking for it, Marshawn. But if they did do more of it, that's fantastic, and that's great, and the success came from it. The offense is 100% a play calling issue and timing issue. Yeah, for sure. It's not a personnel issue on offense, that's for sure. Good morning, Randall. How you doing? We hear the same thing every week, the standards, the playoff. Almost this is us. We aren't that good. See, I look at what you're saying, and if you're just joining the show now, Randall, I said something very similar, just except I didn't add the we aren't that good part. Everyone says we don't have an identity, Randall, and I've talked about it. This is our identity. We fight, we claw, we scratch, and we try our best to pull out a win. We're not as talented as we were in the past. There's a blueprint how to beat us. This is the standard. This is our identity. Here comes that sun back out. We're going back to the fake Ray-Bans for you, Marshawn. But Philly, they made the trade for A.J. Brown 2 off seasons ago and built from there. We were on schedule last year. I disagree. going into that season, I don't think we were expecting to. Most fans weren't expecting. I don't think the organization was expecting the run. Yeah, it's not a hard reset. It's a Florida reset today. That's right. Exactly. I don't know how long we're going to go. I got nothing else to do. I'm going to need more coffee. I'm going to need breakfast here. So I can't go forever today. But there ain't no set start time. I don't even know what time we'll start the rest of this week. Friday, I'm golfing, so we'll be probably pretty early on Friday start. But tomorrow, whenever I wake up, if I set it for 9, that's why you hit that notification bell. Let you know when we're live. I can't even see with or without the glasses. Now, I don't think active players should be doing podcasts during the season. Nothing good comes from it. Parson Slay, nothing but drama created. Yeah, man, that's interesting. Yeah, that's fair. I guess if you're injured and you're out like on IR for an extended time, when I first got started, Bobby, with AAT Birds, we had Craig James on our show because he was out injured on IR for the season. So we had him on. So that's not a big deal. But in season like this, yeah, I get that. I think that's a fair comment. Nothing good can come from it. Finally, offense went back to the pistol formation. I did see a bunch of pistol formation, which is crazy because you don't see that in the pros very often. But a team like this with Jalen Hurts and the running attack and the offensive line, smart way to do it. See more Jalen under center. Yeah, maybe. I think people over discuss the under center and shotgun in today's NFL. Like when we were talking back in the day about Sam Bradford, what was his name? It was the Cowboys running back we got there, DeMarco Murray or whatever his name is. Yeah, that shouldn't have been a shotgun formation type of offense. But that was a while ago. This style, this NFL that we're in now, it doesn't bother me as much. Mitch, good morning, Mitchie Poo. How you doing? I predicted 13-4 this season. Also, I got 3 of the 4 losses accurate. Just so you know. So a little bit better there. I wasn't expecting Jalen MVP year, that's for sure. But the talent was there on offense and defense. All right. I mean, I guess so. I just don't think the Super Bowl was the expectation, considering we were still talking about, whether Jalen Hurts was our quarterback going into last season. There are people that were wanted Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys, Jimmy Garoppolo. There were people that came on this show saying, I want Jimmy Garoppolo over Jalen Hurts going into last season. So that's not a team with Super Bowl expectations. So they exceeded those expectations. Maybe this year was the year, probably next year. But good morning, Eric. Merry Christmas to you as well. Welcome to the chat here. Look at my camera. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. But anyway, yeah. Man. Anyway, guys, back to the conversation here. Had to have a little personal reset there. Coffee, sipping, everything. Thank you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you as well. Hope everyone's well. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. A couple days left in the new year, until the new year. Hope everybody had a good time with their families and stuff like that. Definitely. So the Eagles team. Yeah, but Purdy threw 4 picks. Sorry. The Eagles team. How do we want to look at this? We're panic. We're still in panic as Eagles Nation. And we see the frustration on the sideline and the talking from people on the sideline. Do we really think that that's really a problem in the locker room too? Like, do we think that they've lost confidence as a team? We still haven't gained, after one win, our confidence back in the Eagles. But have the other teams, or have the players, lost that same confidence that we've lost? Because I think that's a big issue. If you lose confidence as a team, now there's one thing you could say that they've lost confidence in who's calling the plays, or they've lost confidence in the play design. But have they lost confidence in each other? And I think that is a question that needs to be asked. What do you think AJ wanted to say about Sirianni? Was it about Sirianni? Because I saw him say, I'm not going to say something, but being on vacation, I didn't see the pre-setup to that. Look, we're going to learn a lot over the next 5-6 weeks, the rest of the season, the playoffs, really about the makeup of the leadership. Because let's think about it. When we started this season, before the season started, we talked about the leadership and makeup of this team. And there seems to be some fractures in it, but we're going to learn about those fractures a lot over the coming weeks. Christmas in Philadelphia is miserable, fam. Eagles win, and there's so much not to be happy about. It's cold in Philly today. I don't know. It's going to be 75 today, so I'm happy. I think the locker room's frustrated, not fractured. That's a very similar word, but means a total difference. So I like the way that you say it's frustrated, the locker room, and not fractured, for sure. I was never a fan of or not having experience. Hey, Eric, you've been around a long time. You know I was calling for that before the season started, that we need an experienced, maybe not play caller, but an experienced person in the room getting set for game plans. Just exactly what Matt Patricia was for defense on offense. Now, I said it plenty of times mid-season, and I had Coach Dale Carlson, on this show a couple of weeks ago, saying that it was too late in the season to bring in a Frank Reich at this point because you don't want to go making drastic changes to your offense this late in the season. It's a little different on defense on what they did than what the offense, what people want them to do. You can't make that drastic changes at this point of the season. That it's just not productive for the team. Reports said that even at 10-1, the team was miserable and had a lot of tension. Interesting. How a 10-1 team can be miserable and have tension, I don't know. Look, maybe Nick Sirianni's success is also the downfall of this team. I don't know. We might be having a Nick Sirianni conversation after the season. Very possible. I'm just not there yet. I think wins and getting to the playoffs, things will pull together. I really do. Why the hell did Jalen Carter only play 21 snaps? Jordan Davis only had 30-plus snaps. I actually looked for the snap count this morning, and I couldn't find it really quickly before the show started. So that's surprising. I'm not sure. Maybe they feel that Jalen Carter is hitting a rookie wall, maybe. Maybe he's slowing down a little bit at this point of the season. I don't know. I can only speculate on that, Marshawn. Jordan Davis has had some games. We knew he's a 50% max snap guy. He's had a couple games this year where he's gone over 60%. So maybe they're just trying to conserve him for the playoffs as well. I don't know. Something. If that's the case, something's up there. My guess would be protecting these guys from hitting walls before the playoff starts. 21 snaps. Yeah. All right. So it's not ideal when you have somebody that's contending for defensive rookie of the year, as might be one of your best defensive players on the team. If we lose in the playoffs, are you ready to let go of Sirianni or Brian Johnson? I'm not firing Nick Sirianni after this year. At this point, on December, what's today's date, the 27th, Travis, I am not firing Nick Sirianni at all. I'll have the conversation about Brian Johnson for sure. But Nick Sirianni's my guy going forward for sure, at least for now. We'll see how the season plays out and what happens to cause that so-called loss in the playoffs, Travis. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Donata, what's up? How you doing? Every team the Eagles play are giving them their best effort and also tough schedules. So let's see what the Cards bring. I think it's a fair part of this is very fair here. I don't think enough conversation. We've had it on this show plenty of times, but I don't think enough conversation is had that, look, we have the hardest schedule in the NFL to start the season with a gauntlet stretch of games in a row. Nobody's played the stretch that we've played, plus all the time changes and stuff like that. So much has gone against the Eagles. We are 10-4 or 11-4. Let's give them some credit for that. And everybody's going to give us. Everybody saw how much hype this team had last year and how successful this team was. Of course, we're going to get everybody's best. I wouldn't expect anything less. Kyle Hamilton looked great against the Niners. He did. And I know Eagles Nation is bringing that up on a regular basis now. Jordan Davis over Kyle Hamilton. Look, it was over a year ago. I wanted Kyle Hamilton. I was excited when they got Jordan Davis. But Kyle Hamilton was the guy. But I also knew the Eagles don't value safety like that. But he would look great. Brian Branch would look great in that position as well. Joey Porter Jr. would look great instead of Nolan Smith. So if anything has to be discussed in the offseason that I'm ready to say now is Howie Roseman. And not like fire Howie Roseman, but how he evaluates and values positions. He needs to have a deep, hard look at himself when he gets next year's team, started and prepped for. Those shades are rocking. Dude, the sun's actually peeking out a lot right now. And it's like shining, like literally tomorrow I'll have to find a different spot. It's literally right in my face right now. 3-2 in the gauntlet. Cowboys 0-2 in their gauntlet so far. Marshawn, great point. Great point right there. Well, Smitty said we suck, and I believed him. And somebody said it earlier, maybe it was you, Travis, that Smitty don't talk much. So when Smitty says something, it's something that's a feeling through a bunch of people in that locker room. It's not a one-person thing that's feeling that way. Goddard has not had a good season this year, that's for sure. Missed time again. He's had some drops this year. He's also playing with a broken freaking arm, so let's give him a little bit of a leeway. This past week, I mean, he came back in like 3 weeks from like a 7-week injury, so let's give him something there. He's playing with a big cast on his arm. How he will trade for an established safety before he drafts one in the first or second round. Yeah, probably. You're probably accurate in that statement there, Marshawn. But he needs to value the position more. He's got to draft somebody or trade for somebody or sign somebody. You can't go into the season with who were our safeties to start the season? Justin Evans said it. He's never healthy. You know what I mean? Terrell Edmonds didn't even make it past week 3 on this team before he was cut. We really didn't put much effort into safety, and then linebackers as well. You let TJ Edwards and Kasir White walk, and you end up with what you end up with, which is Ben Van Sumeren starting for the Eagles on a Monday on Christmas, in an important game. Yeah, I'm not sure why Zach Ertz hasn't decided to play somewhere or where to play, or maybe the NFL just realized that Zach Ertz is washed at this point. And bringing Zach Ertz in here, we've talked about it when he was first released, doesn't help this team, Marshawn. Maybe it would help in a leadership locker room standard, but he doesn't have anything left in the tank to really. I mean, we're barely using Julio Jones. We barely use Lamade Zaccheaus. We barely use Quez Watkins, which is a good thing. So Zach Ertz, really, there's no role. He would get less targets than Julio Jones would here as well. So, yeah, I just think people realize that he's washed at this point. We had a lot of bad luck. I mean, hitting each other and tip-off picks. Yeah, there was some bad luck on Monday, for sure, in that game. So that's why I kind of look at the game a lot more in a more of a positive light than most people do. Because really, you take those 2 turnovers that were more unfortunate circumstances than bad decision-making, and they scored touchdowns, obviously a pick 6 on one and great field position on the other. It's a 33-11 game after that. Maybe one of those drives that we turn it over result in a score too. So I'm looking positively for sure. Edmonds was traded in the Titans. Okay, gotcha. I feel like that happened like a decade ago. It's so long. But I said he didn't even deserve to make the 53-man roster. And yet he was one. I think he was listed as a starter week 1. I might be wrong on that, but seriously. I mean, that's how little value they put on safety coming this year. That Terrell Edmonds was one of our opening day starters, and we realized how bad he was. First-round pick and 2 second-round picks this year, and a slew of compensation picks. Can't miss on those day 1 and 2 picks with the cap. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. We do got to hit on young guys. The cap is going to be an issue in the future. You got a lot of guys that are going to want to get big pay raises this offseason. So, yeah, you got to hit on them. And you got to reevaluate what's important on this team. I mean, obviously, offense on defensive line is what Howie always looks for. We're pretty deep on both right now. So he's got to be looking at linebacker. He's got to be looking at safety, maybe a cornerback. I don't know. I think we might have enough youth there at quarterback. I don't know. But that's where Howie's got to look. But we know Howie. Maybe those day 2 or second-round picks, maybe he goes linebacker and safety. So a lot of the linebacker issue also was because they put a lot of value into Nakobe Dean. And Nakobe Dean's been pretty much MIA all year with multiple different injuries. So, again, putting too much stock that an injury-prone player is going to play even half a season is a mistake on Howie's part. Julio is open and just not being thrown to. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are open that aren't being thrown to. That's on play design. That's on philosophies. It's not all on Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of people are saying it's Jalen Hurts' fault when he doesn't hit the underneath guy. I think that's because he's being coached to go deep far too often. Boston Scott has to be better and run away from Lamade. Yeah, I guess so. But if I remember correctly, because again, I was at Sloppy Joe's, wasn't Lamine blocked into Boston Scott Marchand? I think so. 49ers got manhandled. I'm confident we can do the same. Look, the 49ers are beatable. I know they smoked us, but they're a beatable football team. I want to give Brock Purdy some credit. I know he had 4 interceptions this past week. But, I mean, we always talked about Jalen Hurts' record as a starter in the regular season. Brock Purdy's 16-4 since he took over starting for the 49ers. So, you got to give him credit where credit's due. That play was just weird, 1 in 100 game. Yeah, exactly. It really was. Ringo needs to start, and that's a big question. Are you confident in Ringo starting in the playoffs against Seattle, against whoever we have to face in the first round, instead of somebody like James Bradbury or Darius Slay? Do you want to see Keely Ringo start? And I think the answer right now, the popular answer is yeah. But when you get to the playoffs, it's a different ball game. We'll have to see what the decision is there. This should be the time of the year where the run game has to be firing all cylinders. Monday was a good sign. Yeah, defenses are tired at this point of the year. We got a lot of at least bad teams we're facing, the Cardinals, Giants, a lot of bad players. They're tryouts for next year and future years. So we should be able to run and pound that ball with ease. I'd like to see it continue this upcoming week against Arizona. Truly weird, Duck. Yeah, it really was a weird play. Not beatable when the Eagles play the Giants close. Yikes. Black Cat, thank you for tuning in. Hope you liked the video. Hit the like button, whatnot. It wasn't close against the Giants. I never felt the game was in any form of jeopardy whatsoever. You had 2 freak plays that resulted in touchdowns for the Giants, and outside that, it was a blowout. So I had no concerns whatsoever that the Eagles were beating the Giants while the game was happening. Yeah, leading up to the game, maybe I thought it'd be close or I was a little nervous or hesitant, but in-game thoughts, I never felt the team was losing that game. 4 picks is crazy. Jalen's been bad, but not 4 picks bad. Has he had any 4 turnover games? I don't know, Marshawn. I know he's had a lot of turnovers this year. So I have no idea. People are bringing up Darius Slay. I don't know what he said this time. But Darius Slay's definitely been chirping far too much this year. For sure. Beard, bro. Yeah, please. I don't know. I can't. I don't have my whole setup today, so I don't know how many likes Duck are on the video right now. It does tell me there's 6 Facebook likes, but I don't know about YouTube or Twitter or anything else like that. So yeah, hit that like button for sure. We're at the hour mark of the show. I don't think I'm going to go too much longer here, but hit that like button for me and keep those comments coming and firing in, people. When the 49ers lose Trent Williams, they fall apart. Did he go down in the game, Bobby? I must have missed that as well. Positive run game builds confidence for the offense, and it moves the change much like that. And it's also helpful for the defense. Keeps the defense fresh, keeps the defense off the field. We just talked about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter maybe being on a pitch count right now. You keep the offense on the field, keeps those guys off the field as well. Can we beat Kyler Murray? Of course we can beat Kyler Murray. Cardinals are terrible, Travis. We should have no problem. I'm not, and even this season notwithstanding, I've never been a fan of Kyler Murray's game, or his attitude, or his leadership ability or style. Which, transitioning, maybe we'll dive into that conversation tomorrow. The Jalen Hurts leadership question that is being brought up through the media and stuff like that. I don't think anybody in the locker room is questioning Jalen Hurts' leadership, but a lot of people in the media who will say anything to get clicks are questioning him and his leadership style. So maybe that'll be a jumping off point tomorrow, that conversation there. Pulling Purdy tells you exactly how Shanahan thinks of the quarterback position. He was getting beat up. He was playing terrible. No point in risking it getting any worse. We're beating Kyler Murray and the Gannons 34-21. I haven't even thought about a score prediction yet. I don't even know what the line is. Actually, I can look that up really easily, I think, here. What is the line for the Eagles-Cardinals game at this moment? 1 o'clock game, New Year's Eve. The Eagles are 10.5. So we were more favored against the Giants than we are against this Cardinals team. 3-12 Cardinals team. And, they have lost 4 of their last 5 games and not even close, some of those games. So, we will smoke the Cardinals. Trent Williams had a groin issue. Okay, gotcha. Can't stand our coaching staff trying to win without using our potent running attacks. Well, they ran the ball much more efficiently and much more frequently last week. Maybe it's a sign, of things changing, things getting back on track. We ran the ball a lot to start the season. Regarding Hurts, his worst turnover game was against the Jets with 3 INTs, then a bunch of 2 turnovers. Okay, appreciate that, Black Cat. Always appreciate the fact checkers in the background for me. I didn't know I knew he had the 3 interception game. I just couldn't remember if he had any fumbles in that game. But yeah, it happens. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, they all have big turnover games as well. It's bad. It's not good, but it happens to the best of them. Exactly. The run is a major part of the defense looking so bad. Exactly. They're getting gassed. I mean, go back to the Bills game. I know it was an overtime game, but what did the defense have? Like 96 snaps on defense that they had to play? I mean, that's not easy to do, especially when you're depleted from injuries. 31-21 Eagles. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't cover the line, current 10.5-point line, Doc, but yeah. We'll get to that in a couple days, predictions like that. We are one of the worst teams against the line spread this year. See, I don't bet the Eagles much, so I try. That's one of my rules of betting, and I can't bet while I'm down here in Florida anyway, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I try never to bet the Eagles if I don't have to because I don't like doing that. It's one of my rules. Hurts is not better than McNabb right now. He's between. Stop, Travis. That's a. No offense. Don't take this the wrong way, my man. I appreciate you, but that's as clickbaity gets right now. Talking to McNabb. I mean, you want to have a conversation. It hurts McNabb, who's the best in all time in Eagles, sure. But don't ever put Kevin Cobb's name anywhere near Jalen Hurts, for sure. Chiefs lost to the Raiders at home. Niners lost at home. We won at the crib, though. Parity for real. I mean, the Raiders beating the Chiefs, that was not on anybody's card. The Niners looking as bad as they did was not on anybody's card. So it is what it is. I don't bet on Philly teams either. Too much heart sometimes. Sometimes I'll do some same-game parlays on them, but I won't pick the lines or the money line or the over-under. I'll pick receptions and touchdowns and stuff like that. Same thing with the NBA. I'll bet like Sixers same-game parlays of 3-point shots and points and rebounds and stuff. But I try not to bet the lines on any Philly teams ever. It's just it opens up a can of worms. I hope Hurts can develop into a better player than Vic, especially in seeing the field in blitzes. Man, are we really talking about Hurts and Vic and Cobb today? Like, really? I'm here in Florida doing a show, and this is what I have to listen to? Exactly, Bobby. Kevin Cobb, really? Like, is this what I woke up for on vacation? This? Good morning, Reality Check. Merry Christmas to you, my man. Hope you're well. Good to see you late this morning here as we get set to wrap this show up. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, share button, subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that. You guys know that. But let's not bring Kevin Cobb into the conversation today. Honestly, I can't tell you the last time I even said Kevin Cobb's name in life. Shout out to Andy for trading Cobb for DRC in a pick. Man, I thought DRC was going to be so good when he got here. Boy, was I wrong there. Yeah, what's next? Bobby Hoying. I was a kid. Actually, I was probably a teenager when Bobby Hoying came around. Thought he was the next big thing. Boy, was I wrong on that one. Again, agreed. Reality Check. Merry Christmas to everybody. With all the positives, you sometimes have to deal with the Cobbs. Oh, man. Cobb did play okay for us, like the same stats as Hurts right now. Now, sometimes you got to look past the stats there, Travis. The stats don't tell the story. Kevin Cobb, I do feel bad for him. I don't remember exact details, who was playing at the time, but that offensive line was atrocious, and he got hit, and so many concussions, Kevin Cobb. And his career, and to an extent, I think his life isn't even very good right now because he had so many concussions. He's dealing with a lot of CTE right now, from what I remember reading once. But that dude took so many hits, so many bad hits. But yeah, he was a bad quarterback too. Cobb played for the Bills too. I don't even remember. I'm going. You know what? You're going to bring up Kevin Cobb's name. I'm going to bring up Kevin. Oh man, let me try to do this. Kevin Cobb. Let's bring up Kevin Cobb's stats. I don't even know why we're going to do this, but we're going to just look into it just for argument's sake here. I got to mute that tab so it doesn't start playing sounds for us. Kevin Cobb did not play for Buffalo. At least he doesn't have any stats for Buffalo. He played one game his rookie year. Didn't register a stat other than getting sacked twice. His second year in 2008, He played in 6 games. Didn't start in them, but came in a relief 6 times. 2009, he went 1-1 as a starter, and then in 2010, went 2-3 as a starter. Got sacked 15 times in 5 starts. 2011 in Arizona, got sacked 30 times in 9 games. And then 2012, his last registered year, he got sacked 27 times in 5 games. Dude, that's scary. That's 77 sacks in 21 starts. That is not good at all. Slipped on a mad and got permanent, basically. I thought DRC and Asante was going to be elite, so did I. Then they signed Nnamdi. Nnamdi was a bust. We got a second-round pick for Cobb, traded to Arizona. Yeah, Cobb was a likable, humble man who did his best. Yeah, I'm not trashing the guy, but I'm not putting him anywhere near the same platform as Jalen Hurts or Donovan McNabb. Hell, at that point, I mean, he had a 59% completion percentage for his career. He had a whole 5,200. He never threw for 2,000 yards. He never had more than 9 touchdowns. Hell, in 2011, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 2010, 7 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. You can't put them anywhere in the same conversation, my man. Sorry. I saw him in Buffalo. Poor guy had to have us close windows, no lights duty. That's sad right there. Had to have no lights. Yeah, DRC and a second pick for Cobb is crazy work. It really is. What's his name still in charge then? Was Joe Banner in charge by that point? Still at that point, or was Howie Roseman in charge by that point? I'm not sure. We didn't run. That DRC was lazy. He just didn't work out. We made a lot of mistakes at cornerback back then too, just like now. As long as Brian Johnson is continuously trying to force the big plays, there will be turnovers. And I don't think we've talked, Jeff. Thanks for checking in today, my man. I don't think we've talked enough today. Another thing for tomorrow's show about the fact that Brian Johnson needs to keep forcing these big plays, but then after the game is saying he needs to do it even more. Almost like a what? Like when he said, like, I got to have more big explosive plays. Like, that's a tough, man. That's something that we definitely have to dive deeper into as we talk here this week. Nick Foles still out in the market right now for a backup quarterback. No. BDN does not need to come back to Philly. The greatest backup quarterback of all time, one of the worst starting quarterbacks of all time. Other than his 1 year under Chip Kelly here, never had a really good season in the NFL, and then he got hot in the playoffs and got us to the Super Bowl. That was it. Michael Vick in 2010 was the most exciting offense I've seen. I don't know. Last year's offense was pretty damn exciting, and I know 2010 was great with Michael Vick and stuff like that, but I don't know. We didn't win. We didn't get to the Super Bowl. We didn't do that great with them. It was just exciting. All right, guys. I think it's – what time is it? We're at 9:30. This is the normal stopping time of the show. So we might wrap this up here in the next 5 minutes. Smitty, middle of the field throw, went for a touchdown. Keep doing that. Yeah. Get Smitty more involved. Spread the ball around more. All things we need to do. But I think we've already got our 2 topics for tomorrow. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts' leadership and Brian Johnson talking about how he needs even more big explosive plays. And how do we convince him that that's wrong? Who's got to step up? Does it got to be Nick Sirianni that steps up and says no more? Cobb, yeah. Cobb was bad, yeah. Last year's offense was great, not exciting. That's true. All right, so it wasn't as exciting as the Vic, but it was just more dominating last year than the Vic one. Backup EJ Manuel. I remember that name. I thought he was. Didn't you guys draft him in the first round, EJ Manuel? I knew that was one of the worst quarterback classes of all time right there in the draft. Michael Vick had AJ and Smitty will have multiple Super Bowls along with Shady. Yeah, man, don't bring up Shady into the conversation, Travis. That still breaks my heart every day that he got traded away for Kiko Alonso. It's brutal. Is I think the most honest answer to that part of that there. Dominating is a perfect way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap it up right there. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network, live from sort of sunny Orlando, Florida for the rest of the year. We got 2 more shows this year, so make sure you bring the fire tomorrow. Talking Jalen Hurts' leadership, Brian Johnson's need to have more big plays. That's what we'll jump off at. I'm going to try to wrestle up some guests to join the show tomorrow as well. So we'll see where the conversation goes tomorrow. $500. Help me pay for this vacation, Eric, for sure. Thanks. Merry Christmas to you as well. Go Birds, of course. Shady getting traded for Alonzo. Yeah, dude, break my heart. Still to this day. I don't know what was worse. Shady getting traded for Alonzo or Djax being cut for gang ties. I don't know what was worse. My man Bobby, thank you very much for tuning in today. Guys, hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe button, the retweet button. Do it for me, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. Go Birds. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Turn those notifications on. It'll be about an 8:30 start time approximately tomorrow, guys. Have a good day. I will see you next time.